History and Borderlands History, Timothy E. Nelson, will be led by Dr. Jeffrey Shepard, in memoriam Dr. Macia Crenshaw Daly, and Dean of the College of Liberal Arts, Dr. Patricia Woods.
This equipment to see if it works. If you can see me and not just hear me, you can see TD Jakes in the back. I'll watch that in the morning to get my head right, get my spirit right. Because these devils, they be after you. So I'm opening my phone right now to start off with a preface to this podcast, and so each morning I listen to my writings because I'm working on a book.
Frontier in American History 1900 to 1930. Timothy Eugene Nelson. Preface. Blackdom was a real place. I have to make this fact clear, because my brother Maison Nelson thought I made it up. No lie. Maison, pronounced Mason, recorded my doctoral graduation. He flew all the way from the Air Force Base, where he was stationed in Las Vegas, Nevada, to El Paso, Texas. He took pictures with me holding my University of Texas at El Paso mock diploma. Still, after not seeing him for about 5 years, his question was, when you gone make some money? I graduated with a PhD in Borderland History on December 10th, 2015, with subfield expertise in African diasporic studies.
To El Paso, to northern New Mexico, you're going to see that we all intersect in a beautiful way. And so this is a timely story, it's relevant, and if you all could welcome Dr. Nelson, and I'd like to thank CCA for supporting this. Welcome, Dr. Nelson.
Okay, so Marisa is like everything else. Like, you all wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. I would just be the homeless dude that they kicked out of Dunkin' Donuts. If you're not familiar with Dunkin' Donuts, you'll read about it later. Okay, so today we're going to do a few things. Because we have this particular audience, we're going to do two things. We're going to use the Blackdom narrative so that we all can intersect at that point. And so that's what you're going to have now. However, we all come from different places to this intersection, so let's watch this first. Okay. So, that can get pretty awkward, right? Saying the wrong stuff in a room full of people, particularly today, right? If you say something wrong, oh my, you are a... It's not what we're doing here today, okay? What we're doing here is providing a safe space, even when we say things and do things like what you just saw. We're gonna have a little bit of intersectionality training because of this particular audience. So this is what we'll cover. Please pull out your phones. We're going to have a few minutes for this. Please pull out your phones. Turn it on silent, but I want it on. Please raise your hand if you have unlimited service. Raise your hand if you have unlimited service. Okay, everyone raise your hand and then stand up, please. If you can. If you don't. Okay, so if you have unlimited service tonight, you're going to lend that privilege to everyone else who doesn't, because you're going to be a part of the experience. Okay, you may have a seat. You all see them? Okay, good. So this is what we're going to cover. Please turn your ringer off. Race in Blackdom. It's called Blackdom. We're going to get to that in a minute. The Afro Frontier. To get my PhD, I had to write a dissertation, and it was on Blackdom. Within my dissertation was the theory of Afro-frontierism. That's what I'll be talking about at the Western History Conference. The Alpha Frontier, raise your hand if you're familiar with Frederick Jackson Turner's thesis, the Frontier thesis. This is a new thesis. This is a frontier thesis from the perspective of black folks. Black, and I'm going to say non-Hispanic for a particular reason. You'll find out later, okay? And lastly, we're going to get to the point where we can at least begin a conversation here. Race doesn't exist. Now, that's the beginning of the conversation, not the end, okay? It's the beginning, because while race doesn't exist, racism does. Your voice. Okay, this is my voice. I broke it down into the pieces where you can find me. So, instead of yelling at me here today, you can yell at me for the rest of your life on Twitter, Facebook, all of that other stuff. But today we're going to play along because the intersection is what we need to teach people how to get to. Okay? Now, I teach classes, and very few times, okay, never, has there ever been a historian to have an intro, right? Like a real intro, like, you know, if Jay-Z was coming out, he wouldn't just come out, he'd, you know, flames and everything. So, okay, so this is my version.
Oh, you think you're better than me?
I have the honor to
You think
present
you're better
two
than me?
candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy. For the candidates for the degree of
Good evening. Tonight, we go after the story of an extraordinary personality. He is Salvador Dali, the great surrealist painter, who sees the world through surrealist eyes. If you're curious to hear Salvador Dali talk about decadence, death, and immortality, about his surrealist art, his politics,
Proclamation,
and his
also known as
existence
gun
before he was
laws,
born, we'll go
emancipation.
after those stories in just a moment.
Didn't take all the water with it and not leave any behind.
Flippers command.
Black nationalism, which means that the black man should control the politics of his own community and control the politicians who are in his own community.
We must also realize that the problems of racial injustice and economic injustice cannot be solved
We'll talk with Salvador
without
Dali in
a
just a minute.
radical redistribution of political and economic power.
There's this myth that black people did not resist until Watts or until Malcolm or until the Black Panther Party. It's just not true. The first thing that the Black Panther Party did, of course, in Oakland was to patrol the community, to set up an armed patrol in order to ensure that black people were not harassed and intimidated by the local police department. But that had been done in the South. It was done in Birmingham. My father participated in armed patrols because they have to protect the community. They get out there.
I want you to see that, particularly for the end, because the end, my little daughter, she's watching. So I just wanted her to see herself. But she's my why. Her mother is from Iowa, and for this purpose, because we haven't gotten that far in our lecture yet, her mother is white, and I am black. And so, in teaching about this intersection, I'm teaching my daughter the whole time. I'm helping her to understand this new world that she has to exist into. So this lesson is built with her in mind. You just get to participate. All right, so I get 10 volunteers if you know your ABCs. Raise your hand if you know your ABCs. Please stand if you know your ABCs. Please stand if you know your ABCs. Okay. Let me see. I can't see you in the back, so go ahead and sit down. The further back you are, go ahead and sit down because I can't see you. No, you stay. No, you don't try to get on. All right, so I'm going to point to you, and you're going to give me the letter in the order because we know the ABCs, right? You ready? You ready?
Ready. Maybe. A.
B.
C. T. E.
F.
G. H. I. K. L. M.
N.
O. P. Q. R.
S.
T.
U. V. W.
X.
Y. Z.
Backwards.
Z. W.
Yeah, you can Go ahead, sit down. See, the other ones in here have either been through this experience or they knew, oh, he's setting us up. However, they were sitting there going, well, I know my ABCs too. We say we know things that we really don't. Because if you knew them, you could do it backwards. If I said, do you know your numbers 1 to 10? You could probably do those because you know them. So, I'm going to give you the narrative that is out there for Blackdom. Now, it bores me to tears. I apologize, but it does. However, when I get really bored, I'm going to cut it off. It won't go any longer than 10 minutes. I suggest that you take out your phones. This is the time where you can use those phones. And it's okay to go to, you ready? You got the Google out? Take out the Google. You know all of those with unlimited access. If you can, go to blackpass.org and you're going to search for Blackdom, New Mexico. I'm going to say it again. Blackpast.org. Past.
Recipient of the Doctor of Philosophy degree in Borderlands History, Timothy E. Nelson, will be hooded by Dr. Jeffrey Shepard, in memoriam Dr. Vacio Crenshaw Daly, and Dean of the College of Liberal Arts, Dr. Patricia Witherspoon.
This equipment to see if it works. If you can see me and not just hear me, you can see TD Jakes in the back. I'll watch that in the morning to get my head right, get my spirit right. Because these devils, they be after you. So I'm opening my phone right now to start off with a preface to this podcast, and so each morning I listen to my writings because I'm working on a book.
Frontier in American History 1900 to 1930. Timothy Eugene Nelson. Preface. Blackdom was a real place. I have to make this fact clear, because my brother Maison Nelson thought I made it up. No lie. Maison, pronounced Maison, recorded my doctoral graduation. He flew all the way from the Air Force Base, where he was stationed in Las Vegas, Nevada, to El Paso, Texas. He took pictures with me holding my University of Texas at El Paso mock diploma. Still, after not seeing him for about 5 years, his question was, when you gone make some money? I graduated with a PhD in Borderland History on December 10th, 2015. With subfield expertise in African diaspora.
It's the Richard E. Show, the voice of Santa Fe on KTRC, Santa Fe's news talk leader.
Hey, mister, can you tell me where a man might find a bed?
All right. Dr. Timothy E. Nelson is here.
and we're going to talk about what he's going to be doing along with a gentleman named Gregory Waits tomorrow evening at CCA, right? Yes. Dr. Nelson, you are a doctor of what?
Philosophy.
Medicine?
Philosophy.
I haven't a pain.
you're in trouble then.
Well, yeah. Doctor of philosophy.
Philosophy with specifically in history, borderland studies.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Compton, California. Grew up somewhat in L.A. too as well, but mostly Compton.
What years?
I graduated high school in 1995. So like when the
How old were you in Rodney King days?
Oh.
Were you around there?
Yes, I was in high school. I did not participate in the riots.
So you say.
Yeah, I'm just making sure because the statute of limitations.
I know. You never know. You never know who's listening. So you were in high school.
I was in high
during
school
the riots.
Yes.
Scary time in that part of LA.
Yes.
I was in LA as well.
Yes,
I was a truck driver.
No.
Yeah.
Ooh, I remember the Denny situation.
Reginald Denny.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I remember that.
So you grew up in Compton.
Yeah.
And then because you were a kid growing up in Compton, said, I'm going to be a doctor of philosophy.
No. I could barely read coming out of high school, but I could play football
Really?
Really well. And that's how I got to New Mexico.
I'm thinking defense. No?
I'm just
running back?
Yes, exactly.
Were you really?
Yes. I was a running back for New Mexico State, and we did.
You were an Aggie?
Yes, and we did beat UNM.
What year?
During my years. During the Tony Samuel days.
Sure.
97, 98.
Samuel, right.
Yeah, 97, 98. I was a junior college transfer.
And I was doing Lobo Radio.
Oh, so
with Mike Roberts.
Do you remember this? Okay, do you remember this UNM,
we
NMSU?
May have been cursing you. Did you score a touchdown?
I did. Oh. Wait, let me see. Wait, let me see.
We're getting off topic.
Maybe, I don't know. That's too long ago. But Urlacher dropped a punt, and that's how we won when we were at UNM.
He thought he could do everything, and he pretty much could
in college. Yeah.
He was a man among boys.
Oh wow, yeah,
big, fast.
Yeah, the first thing when we came in on Monday when we were about to play them the next week, it was like, okay, this guy named Urlacher.
He's from Lovington. No big deal. Turned out he was a big deal.
Very big deal.
Number one pick in the NFL.
Very big deal. They used to say this thing around in the locker room and say he came to school just to play football. And that's the attitude we had to have that week when we had to play against him.
All right, so you played a game without your helmet, and that's how it became a doctor of philosophy.
No, we were playing against Texas, and Ricky Williams, it was his Heisman Trophy year, and I scored during that game. I mean, we're going back and forth with them on offense. Our defense, not so much.
Right.
And I score, and I look up, and I'm like, is this it? And it kind of was.
The meaning of life.
Yeah, it's like, is this it?
I'm no Ricky Williams.
That day, I realized I was not a Ricky Williams.
He was a stud, man. Oh. He was a stud.
He got like 600 yards on his
Then he started smoking pot.
I think he was smoking before, though.
Really?
Let's just give, he was smoking before.
Okay.
And during.
This is great. We should have had you in earlier. We'll have you back. Dr. Timothy E. Nelson. Now, you live in Los Alamos.
I do.
What do you do up there, philosophically?
My daughter, she's in middle school, and I love watching her run track.
Okay.
That is, it's the highlight of my day, my life, really.
Can you make a living as a doctor of philosophy in Los Alamos, New Mexico?
No. No, not at all. It's really difficult in New Mexico in general with the specialty that I have, particularly Black history.
All right, tell us about it. Let's get down to Blackdom.
Okay, so Blackdom. Most people are not familiar with it. They're getting familiar with it. The show Godless featured Blackdom. However,
in a very weird way. It was a very strange show.
Yeah.
It was a great series, but it was a very strange show.
Wonderful series, right? Yeah. Right? They
with Michelle Dockery.
Oh.
Give me a break.
You know what? I started following her on Instagram, and, it just fell in love with her.
You became a fan of Downton Abbey all of a sudden, didn't you? She's gorgeous.
Why are you telling my secrets?
I'm sorry.
Telling my secrets.
All right. Blackdom.
Okay, so